when did you even start with us?
It's been probably a year and a half, I would say.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while. Was it March? Probably like November. I don't know, November 2020, maybe something like that. It's been a while.
Gotcha. I love to hear it. Before you joined us, what were you doing with your sports bet? Like, how are you going about making your picks? Who are you following? Like, what type of strategies were you doing then?
Yeah, so sports betting became legal. I'm in Ohio. Became legal in January 2024 or 2023. So it's been just a couple of years of sports betting being around here. So I wasn't doing really much sports betting at all. I was a big sports fan, but I really wasn't introduced to sports betting until it started getting promoted in the state. So I spent a good like 6, 7 months just trying to figure out what sports betting was, learning about the different markets that are out there, and just trying to understand how to become profitable. And I think I made a ton of mistakes. I followed some scammers. I followed some people who had really flashy websites and were trying to push these ridiculous profit records that I now know are fake. So it took me a good like 7, 8 months before I really started to figure out the market and started to be profitable.
Yeah. So, what kind of made what or like how did you decide to make that jump into joining the premium?
Well, when I was in that process of starting to discover cappers who were out there, I came across you and Sports Empire, and I was intrigued by what I saw. At that point, I was just exploring a variety of different people, trying to figure out who I could follow, who was successful, and then trying to be successful on my own. So I think I stumbled upon you on maybe some sort of an online ad or Instagram or something like that. And
Yeah, I think it was TikTok back at that time. Now
yeah,
I'm not even on there.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Decided to give you a try. I think I signed up for just probably a week or two or a month, and then I slowly escalated from there into a year, into lifetime, and just sort of found that you were a really reliable person to follow and to learn from, and I've been on board ever since.
Yeah, man, I love to hear that. That's honestly like I love to hear it.
Yeah, I think so many people make a ton of mistakes in sports betting, and it's something that I had to learn the hard way. I have tracked meticulously. I'm a very data driven guy in my work, and I tracked all of my bets from the very start. Every single bet is tracked. And so I can see that I was going downhill thousands of dollars in the hole as I started to understand the different markets that are out there, started to follow people who are just taking my money and putting it on stupid bets. I fell into the parlay trap, right? And then ever since then, I have been profitable pretty much for the last year and a half, pretty much straight up. And I came back to even from that dip down, and then I've just been consistently profitable since then.
Yeah. What do you think are like the main things that helped you, get to that like consistent profit, where you're straight uptrend?
I think a big piece has been restraint. So I think sports books get you with these free bets. They get you with the parlays and the promotions, and they make you feel like you need to be betting a ton every single day instead of only betting when you have an opportunity and when there's an edge in the market. And not just because of impulse, not betting on the teams that you're watching personally, not betting on people you're a fan of, following player props of your favorite players. I bet on anything that is going to be profitable. If it's going to be a team that I don't follow, a team I don't care about, it's about learning that this is like an investment, and it doesn't matter where you're putting that money into as long as it's going to have a strong return on investment later on. And so it took me a while to start to figure that out. And I realized the sports books are ridiculously smart. When you look at like totals, right? And so often they're able to know exactly the number of points in a game, and
Yeah.
they're extremely sharp. And so it's really hard to beat the sports books. But learning that restraint, that it's okay to just put 2 or 3 bets in a day or to not bet at all. If a slate is not great, take the day off, go do something else with your life and just enjoy life. You don't have to be playing every single minute of every single day and then not falling into those traps, those lines that just look like they're too good to pass up. Sometimes that's the truth because it's a sports book tricking you.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think way too many people get caught in the trap of like needing to bet every day, or if they're going to a game or if they're watching a game, they need to put money on that game to have some action, or just like doing parlays on their own. Like you need to really stick to like one simpler strategy. And like if it doesn't fit that strategy, don't place any bets. Don't just place picks because you need to, or you're itching to place a bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And that took me a long time to learn. And I think, and that's
For everybody, it does.
absolutely. And I think anytime you're starting off in this world, it's going to be really intriguing I remember I played a lot of those like preset parlays that are on FanDuel and
Yeah.
DraftKings, right? And I thought at the time, I've got these free bets. I've got these good promos. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to play what's right in front of me. This looks like a cool opportunity. And I
Yeah.
had no idea. I mean, it really took me a while to learn how the sports books are trying to trick you and that they're out there to make money. These are billion-dollar companies, right? And
Yep.
so it definitely took a while to learn the right strategies. And part of that was seeing the restraint that you brought on, and then me developing on my own too. I've been able to take what I've learned from Sports Empire and I've applied that. And then now I've been able to place my own bets as well and become profitable there too. But it's been learning those tools over the last now 2 years to be able to figure that out, going through seasons again, learning all the different markets that are out there, learning that restraint and not just playing because I'm watching a game or because I'm going to see a game.
Yeah, I think especially with the community that we have, even like the text message group that we have, I think with that it kind of holds you accountable because you're in there saying like, look, you don't need to bet every day. You're teaching these other people who are new to the group. You're teaching them exactly what not to do, the mistakes that you made at the beginning, and you're telling them what not to do, which I think is amazing.
Exactly. I think again, it's so easy to fall into those traps. So I think part of
100%.
my role that I've kind of taken on in the world is I give advice for a living, and so like I've tried to pass it on to other people and say, listen, like please have restraint and please don't feel like you need to bet all the time and don't feel like you need to watch the game all the time and
Yeah,
and follow it and be worried that a bet's going to lose all the time. It's too stressful and it's not worth it. You're not watching your stock portfolio every single day, right? It's about
exactly.
long-term 10, 20, 30-year investment. Look at it at the end of the month, at the end of the year, and then think about that return. And if you made 3, 4, 5, 6%, you're in a good position. And it's not doesn't need to be every single minute of every day worrying.
Yeah, 100%. People are way too focused on like short-term results and they're watching these games and even like in the first quarter if the bet doesn't look good, they're stressing about it. Like it's insanely sad because like I try to preach every single day that like yes, not every bet is going to win. You don't need to watch these games. Like you only need to win at a 58 to a 63% month after month to make money. And still these people are watching every single bet that we have. Like they're spending hours out of the day stressing, pulling their hair for no reason. Like exactly what you said, treat it like the stock market and look at your returns month after month, year after year. And it's as simple as that. And those clients that think like that are the ones who make the most amount of money.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what you need to do.
And I think it took a long time for me to learn too that like you don't always follow when you're watching sports on television. You don't always understand just how important like hockey can just flip in a second, right?
Oh yeah.
Basketball, you can have teams that go on these 15, 20-point runs,
Yep.
right? Baseball is super unpredictable depending on who's the starting pitcher, what the weather is like. And so I just don't overthink that stuff. You
Yeah.
can't be hyper focusing on that. It's going to cause you to have those impulse bets that are going to lead you to lose money. The sports books know that you're going to put those types of bets in if you don't practice restraint.
Yeah. So in the first like month or two of you joining, what were your results looking like or like how was your experience inside?
Yeah, I don't remember what
Yeah, I know
my
it's a year and a half
it's been a
ago.
while. So, but we're in early 2025, right? So I'm now in like my second full cycle through sports. Yeah, kind of been betting a lot. But I remember seeing my profit start to increase. And I still have that graph that I can look back on and see that tipping point. And it's right around when I joined Sports Empire. It's right around I think a first few months into Sports Empire, I realized, wow, these people who are giving me 20 bets a day, like this is just a money pit, right? This is just
Yeah.
they're fueling that action so that you can't keep track of your own bets. Because I'm that type of person, I did keep track of my bets. And so I could tell that I was losing money on those bets. But I think for a lot of people, they fall into that scam where they have a capper who's giving them 20 plays a day and they're assuming that the person's not going to track it. They highlight their winnings and you think, oh yeah, I'm winning, but you don't actually look at your account that's going down.
Yeah.
Or they tell you you're going to bounce back. So I remember my first couple months in Sports Empire learning, all right, I'm seeing restraint. I'm hearing the advice that James is giving us. And what I started to do is I started to look back at my own bets, the bets that I made personally, the bets that I saw from other cappers. And I started to understand which markets I was winning in, which markets were really not profitable at all. Things like prize picks, parlays, like I was tracking all of that so I could see specific categories where I was losing lots of money. And I just started to rethink the entire process. And then I really spent kind of the last year and a half refining my craft personally, learning from the group. But I remember when I started sports betting, I think my unit size was like $10. I wasn't putting much at all on games. Part of that's because I'm a very like fiscally conservative person, right? So even if I'm fortunate that I was only down a couple $1,000s in my first like 6 or 7 months of sports betting. Imagine if I had been putting 50 or $100 on bets, right? I'd be down $10,000, $20,000. Now I'm at a place where if I put $100 on a game, that's like nothing for me, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, I feel comfortable with that because I know, right? And sometimes it's $300 or whatever it might be. My unit size has gone up significantly from where it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I know that if I have a losing day, it's okay. Like I'm going to bounce back. It's going to be fine. I'm not concerned about it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. What do you think like the main relationship wise with sports betting has changed from whenever you first started and like to this day? Like how's your emotions with it? How are you treating it?
Yeah, and so I still try to keep myself in check. Like I still every once in a while, we all make stupid mistakes in life, right? So every once in a while, like I'll look back and see, like, man, I shouldn't have placed a bet on a team that I watched one game and they were really, really good. And so I let that get me, right? I still make those mistakes every once in a while. They're
Yeah.
far fewer, right? And so like I am religious about, I just follow all of your bets. I don't think twice about it. I just place them and I don't look back, and I follow the profit over time. And then with my own personal relationship with sports betting, I've gone from, I used to feel like this excitement. Sports betting debuted in my state in the middle of football season. And so I was watching like every game. I was obsessed about the props. I was obsessed with following everything all the time. And I learned that like you can't do that anymore. You have to really not think of it that way. You have to look at it as you put the bets in, you go off on your day. Sure, you can watch some games, but you can't just be following every single bet every single minute of the day. You have to then look back over that big period of time and see your return on your investment. So I've gone from kind of that emotional sports betting to think about it a lot more like an investment over time, where I look back. I now think of it as a month by month sort of basis, where I look back at my profit of the month and I think, and I've been fortunate. I think of my last like 8 months sports betting, I think I've had one losing month. And
Yeah.
so like I've been very lucky to be profitable pretty consistently. But whether that, no matter what that is, I'm beating the stock market in many cases.
Yeah.
And so I think of it as a great investment opportunity now versus that emotional sports fan type of experience.
Yeah, that's like this is perfect because this is exactly what I preach. Like my whole every single person that I talk to about sports betting, this is how I preach it. This is how I talk about it, and it's like I love to see that you're picking up what I'm putting down pretty much,
Yeah.
and especially like your results over the last year and a half is insane, and like I want more people to do it the exact way that you're doing it so that they don't make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and I think a lot of it has been embracing the messaging that you've put forward and trying to follow that, and to not just get into that sense of like I need to put a parlay and I need to do something to add that excitement to my day. Sure, maybe I put a couple bucks, but that's just sort of for fun. It's not like serious money.
Yeah.
It's just you have to embrace that kind of lifestyle of this is going to build over time.
Yeah, I think the people that are doing those parlays are the ones trying to, get rich quick. Like they're trying to flip 10 into 10,000 and they keep trying to do it because maybe they see something online where someone else has done it and they think, "Oh yeah, this could be me." So I'm going to continue to do it. But that's not who I want like one of my clients to be. I want my clients exactly like you, someone who is much more like the people who are doing those parlays, not the brightest people, because realistically, like if they think that they can make money from doing parlays, like it's impossible to make money from parlays, especially in the long run.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think like that's what so many people, they see those things online that's like someone put $10 right and turn it into $100,000, right? And at first I thought, like, not knowing anything about what the sports betting world was like, I thought like, oh, like that's possible. That could be
yeah,
me, right?
a
And I think
hundred percent.
everyone thinks that when they're getting into this world. And so you throw $10 $25, $50 out there and you think, I'm going to win one of these eventually, right? And now I just realized like that's just promotional stuff from the
Yep.
sports books, right? They've just got those people wrapped around their finger in the same way that so many cappers who are out there are just they're putting bets through bonus bets that the sports books are providing them, right? Or they're just
Yeah.
taking people's money and they're just running off with it to put together stupid parlays that look attractive. When you hit 1 out of every 1,000, you can post that cool picture that says turn $100 into $100,000, but you don't
Yeah.
see that they lost 1,000 bets before that.
Yeah.
If you can have a consistent every day, slowly building that up over time, you're going to be a lot more successful in the long run.
100%. So whenever you first started seeing results off of the premium, what was the reason that you decided to go the lifetime or the yearly? Because I think you went yearly and then lifetime, right?
Yeah, I think I slowly inched up. So I did like a trial, then I did like a month or something like that. I think I've
Yeah.
had like 5 or 6 different subscriptions over time because I
Yeah.
just kept reinvesting in you.
Yeah.
And so I think I did a month and then I did a year and then I eventually did lifetime. And a lot of that was just that I think I learned from seeing that I was losing money. I'm cautious. And so I think part of that was now I trust very few people. There's like 2 or 3 professional cappers out there who I trust, and that's it. And I'm like, I don't have interest in finding other people. Like I'm
Yeah.
making money. I'm happy with where I am. I've learned now the markets that like there are a few markets that I personally am really good at betting on, and I've learned to kind of master that craft. Like I'm a huge baseball fan, so I'm really successful in baseball. I think I made 300 units at MLB last year, and I had a great year. And football props, like I've done pretty well in football props, and so I've learned that myself. But things like totals, money lines, spread bets, like I look to you for a lot of that, and I just don't even think about that much. And so
Yeah.
as I've seen my profit grow, I started to reinvest that in you and then kept extending from there.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that you see with like a lot of the unprofitable bettors are whenever they jump from person to person, if they have like one losing week with one person, they cancel that subscription and go find another person. And then if they have a losing day with that person, cancel it and try to go find another person. When you need to, like, if you have one person that has already proven results, like they have a proven track record, they have testimonials, they are showing like full transparency of their results, stick with that one person at least for like 2 months and see the results long term, and not just try to stick with it for 1 or 2 weeks, because you can lose your money in 1 or 2 weeks. But again, it's about month
Absolutely.
after month or year after year. Those are the results that matter.
And I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of new sports bettors understand is having an acceptable unit. Like I was really conservative in when I remember $10. That was the most I was going to put on anything. Like I wanted to try this out. And so maybe I'd put 10, 20, $30 if it was a multi-unit play. But you got people out there who are putting 25% of their bankroll on a play, right? And I think they
Yeah.
don't understand like what a bankroll is and how to manage that bankroll.
Yeah,
And
they don't.
so they blow through it. And I still see that with new sports bettors that come along and they have a losing day and they're freaking out about it. Or they have 2 or 3 losing days. And if you have a couple losing days, that's okay. In the big picture of things, it's about looking at that from that bigger
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, that's exactly what I preach. What do you think was like the biggest factor to your success whenever you started joining? Like, was it the picks, or was it like me holding you accountable, or was it like me telling you like, look, this is long term? Like, what specifically was it?
Yeah, I think it was seeing that you don't need to have a ton of picks, I think is a big thing. That it's okay to just have, if a big slate is 4 or 5, that's okay. That you don't need to have 20 picks a day, right? That was a big thing. And then I think the combination of you always have offered, especially as I was in my first year of sports betting, offering like very level-headed advice where it's like, I'm going to hold you accountable. Don't go do degenerate stuff, right?
Yeah.
Be smart about this. Don't, like, hearing that advice and then building off of that. And then now I've taken that on and I've embraced it and I've applied that to a lot of my life. And that I think was a really kind of healthy thing about joining Sports Empire, is that you don't see that in a lot of other groups, that sort of mentorship,
100%.
having a group of people that you can rely on. And now I'm now in a position where I feel pretty good at this and pretty successful, where now, like, when we're having a group chat and you see someone who's freaking out, like I try to be that person too, who echoes
Yeah.
what you're saying and say like, don't worry about this. Like,
Yeah, 100%, which I appreciate it 100%.
Very few groups, like you have people out there charging tons of money for their picks, but they're not necessarily giving you advice or mentorship, and they're just throwing at you picks. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a great thing about the community that we have, is that we've been able to kind of lean on each other for that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of these people would just, throw you in a Telegram group chat and then never speak to you again. They don't even show their face behind their brand most of the time because they know that like the backlash they'll get after their results are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sad. Like, yeah, there's no support. You pay them once and you never speak to them again.
Yeah. And I think I learned a lot too from seeing your tracking bets over time too, and seeing the record and seeing how that builds over time as well.
Yeah.
And so, as I've seen that, you modeled really well that you can put a lot of money on a few number of picks, and that is way better to have those 2 or 3 every few days, a really thoughtful pick,
Yeah.
than having $2,000 spread over 20 picks, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So whenever you were like first starting out, not with the premium, but like whenever you said you were struggling with, doing that 10 to 20 lot or 10 to 20 bets a day, whenever you joined my premium, what was a moment that you realized like, all right, this is the system that I want to stick with? Like, I know you mentioned, the 1 to 3 picks a day, but like what really stood out to you about that?
The seeing an increase in my bankroll, right? Like now I'm at the point where I don't deposit much money in my sports books. So
You're just rolling over the profits.
I just roll over the profits, or I move them between the books. Like, and I take money and put it in my bank account every once in a while. But a lot of it is just me moving money between books through PayPal or to Venmo or whatever. And it's like, that was a big change because I felt like I'd throw $500 in my DraftKings account or whatever, and I was doing $10, $20 units, and it'd be gone, And so I was like, okay, well, I had a losing day. I'm going to reload another $500 in the account.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they hit you with promotions. Like now I'm at the point where like I'm pretty much like banned from all promos, right? Like, which is great because I know now that I'm successful, right? So like I get 5% on $5 max bets on MGM.
Yeah, no, it's right? Crazy. And especially like with those books, whenever you start winning like even a little bit, they just kick you off. Like on MGM, FanDuel, and DraftKings, my max bet is like $10, which is insane. Like they really just do not want to see you win at all.
Yeah, I've been knocked off of 3 sports books now, and I'm not even a giant unit bettor.
Yeah,
but like there's one book where it will let me put in like $2 and it's my max bet or something.
It's like crazy,
and that's because I had a great summer with baseball, and we had a really successful year in Sports Empire, and and so they don't want you as a customer, but that makes you feel good. So I think I started to embrace your system when I saw that graph. And again, I still have that. And I send that to people every once in a while to say like, listen, like you can see here that I went down and then I started going up, and that takes time. And that's looking at 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. But when I joined your group and I started to have that sort of fresh vision of sports betting, I started to see that go up. And then I started to realize I don't need to keep depositing money in my accounts. And I've tried to raise my unit on a sort of slow basis as well. Again, I could be betting more per unit. I choose not to. That's just kind of a personal decision. But like, I've gone up now like 10 times what I was betting at the start, which for me, that's a huge success. And I just keep that money in the account, and it just builds over time.
So with Sports Empire, what's something that stood out to you compared to other groups that you've been?
I think that it's a strong community, which is great. So I think that's one thing. I really I went through a ton of groups when I was looking to try to find like a sports betting home, right? And as I was trying to learn about this, so I started to just like read articles on Action, right? And things, different kind of betting websites. And then I joined groups where it was just a Telegram channel, and it was just people, it's just someone throwing things at you, or people emailing things to you, you don't learn anything from that necessarily.
100%.
Right? It's just plays, and it's just meant to confuse you and just have you kind of reinvest in them without thinking twice about your profits. I joined a number of groups. I signed up. I must have gone through like 15, 20 groups in 8-9 months, because I was just like, I'd find someone and I'd sign up for week or two trial. And, and that's one thing is that that's one piece of advice I would give to all new sports bettors is like, do your homework, right? And like, so part of, why I'm talking James right now is to help share that advice, because the last thing I want to do is for anyone to sign up for like a year package with someone who's just a scammer.
Yeah.
And so I never like invested in any packages that were longer than like a month, because I wanted to try it out and kind of look. What I would do is I would scroll back at their old bets too, and I try to think for myself about kind of like, what is this big picture looking like? One of the things that I found in a lot of groups that are out there is it's just chaos. Like there are these groups where there's like 15 or 20 cappers in there, and they're all throwing out these crazy parlays, and they just get together a ton of people so that they can post that stuff on social media, so that if one of those 20 people hits a play,
Yeah.
it
They get
looks
those
fun.
results, and then they get new clients, and then those clients never come back. Like, I think that's a good thing that separates like me compared to a lot of other people. I still have clients since 2022. Like it's insane. And like all of these other groups, they're just looking for their one-time package. Like they always do insane discounts on a lifetime deal because they want to run up that one big purchase, because they know that long term their clients aren't going to stay with them. With me, I'm fine doing monthly package. I prefer doing monthly package because I know that month after month, these people are going to continue to come back. And like, that's why I'll never do like silly promos, like 5% off lifetime value today only. It's insane. And it's just sad to see people fall for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like it's really nice that a lot of the people in Sports Empire are the same people from when I joined, and are people who have joined in the last 6 months, in the last year, they haven't left. I think that says a lot too, that your renewal rate is pretty strong, or
Yeah.
that people have committed to much longer term packages after seeing that success. I think that that's a good testimonial to you. And so I would encourage anyone to think too about it. If you join a group like ours, about looking at, again, you can't think about this as just 1 month is fine, but you have to think about this as a multi-month investment. So I think
100%.
what I've appreciated about our group is that you're transparent about kind of showing those big picture results and reminding people that you have to look at this as a couple month process. You have to look at this as a year process. And the fact that a lot of us have chosen to stick around or come back month after month shows that there's that long-term success.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people are way too, I've said it 100 times this recording, but people are way too caught up in short-term success, and they're not looking at the big picture.
And if it's like it's too good to be true in sports betting, it almost certainly is.
Yeah, anyone saying that you're going to hit every single long shot parlay, or that you're going to win every single day, or you win 80% month after month, like it's just BS. Like no one can do that.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of these these scams that are out there. These you get these text messages and phone calls to try to get you to sign up for a $25 package, and then they ask you to pay $100, and they ask you to pay $1,000, and they try to like escalate it from there.
Yeah.
But again, there's no community, there's no record keeping at all. They're just assuming that you're going to be a sucker and you're going to fall into
Yeah,
the
it's
trap.
just for new clients. It's crazy. Like
Mhm.
they just make their money from new clients and those flashy wins. With the clients' money that they sign up from, they place more money on a pick. And sometimes I've even seen people post like they'll put 5,000 on one bet and then 5,000 on the opposite bet, so that they can post either way a 5,000 winner. And it's insane. And then people just fall for it.
Yeah, it's gross, and it's just like it's a pure scam.
Yeah.
And so any group that has people who are staying for multiple years, or who have made like a long-term commitment, I think that says a lot.
Yeah. So now that you've already seen success for over like a year and a half, what do you think the next year is going to look like for you in sports betting?
Yeah, I think for me, like personally, like I've enjoyed the money I've made too. Like,
Yeah.
I tell my wife every last year and this year, I say like I tell her our property taxes are paid by the sports books, which is true. Like that's like, it's kind of a cool perk, right? Like you
Yeah.
can take vacation, or like, I just bought some new like home electronic equipment. And I think about that as like, that's like sportsbook money for me, which
Yeah.
is kind of nice. So like I think about this again like as a long-term thing, and that what's the next year going to look like for me? Hopefully more profits, and hopefully building on that too, and then I can take that money and and enjoy it with it. So again, like I have these financial goals that for me, like I think about like my income from my job, my income from my investments, and then my sports betting income too. And it's like those are my like three income sources. And I think about some of them are long term and some of them are short term. But as I think about the next year, I think about continuing to raise my unit, continuing to build that up over time, and then continuing to then benefit from those profits and then do cool things with them, take vacation, right? Or
Yeah.
buy my wife something cool, right? Or again, pay our
Yeah.
taxes. Like, and to be able to do that from supplemental income is really nice on
It
top of
is.
my base income as well.
Yeah. No, I love to hear it.
And I
Just
think
at
too,
a
like, in the next year too is like, as the longer I stay in this, I think you become better too. So like, I think I'm going to continue to place the bets from you, right? For forever, right? I'm happy to continue to do that. And I think that, and they've shown a proven track record, and I don't even think it twice about it. I think what a lot of people think is that they can master this world quickly, and that's just not the case. And I think like my first like 7-8 months again in this world are like is a really good example of that this takes a long time to figure out. I've been watching baseball since I was a teenager and have been around baseball, and I thought my first year of playing baseball that I was going to be like this massive success, right? And it
yeah.
was pretty crappy. It wasn't until my second full season of baseball that I could really study it and start to understand all the factors that go into baseball and then take that knowledge that I have. So I'm excited for this upcoming baseball season, right? To continue to
Yeah.
perfect my own personal craft, but I'm going to lean on you for my main bets from that main income that I'm getting from the Sports Empire bets.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. Like it people are like I truly compare this to, I don't know if you're familiar with like day trading, but
Yeah.
I feel like young people, everyone has tried day trading, and every one of my friends that are successful with day trading, the same principles that they apply to their success is exactly what I apply to my success. Like the reason, like it, discipline, patience, sticking to one strategy. Like no one's going to be profitable their first month. Like you have to, you have to put time into it and really like learn the skill.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like incredibly comparable to. I think um,
Stock market
there's a
and
ton in common with the stock market, and I think as these new apps like ProfitX and Novidges are like market apps have come out, I think like it kind of has exposed some of that too, where you start to have a better understanding. This is kind of more advanced stuff than I think like an intro sports better, but you start to have an understanding about how these different lines have capacities and then they move, right? Based kind of how the market, how people are responding to the bets and investing in them and so on too. But I think that same principle of like, you're going to lose money and that's okay. And you're going to have to show restraint and that's okay too. Sure, it's not as sexy, right, as those 20 bets a day. But if you invest in 20 random stocks, and just keep changing your
yeah,
strategy, you're not going to see success from that too.
yeah. I it's really like, and especially with how the stock market has been going, like it's been plummeting. I think
Mhm.
sports betting, like on a crazy, I don't even think it's crazy to say this, but like I think sports betting is more profitable than the stock market if you can be, have enough discipline to treat it as a long-term game and not be obsessed with the short-term like downs.
Yeah.
If you have the discipline, you will 100% make more money from sports
Mhm.
betting compared to the stock market.
And I think what's nice about the sports betting markets is that there's always opportunity out there.
100%.
And
Yeah.
so I know very little about tennis. I put on a ton of tennis bets last year, right? And I'm not necessarily watching tennis, but for me, it was I have a lot of free time in the summer, so I could put a lot of live tennis bets on, and I started to kind of play around with learning that market, and it's really profitable if you can learn it.
Yeah.
It's not something for new bettors because it's really tricky.
Yeah.
But like no matter whatever the sport is, like in Sports Empire, when we're placing to typically spread money line total bets, like there's always a new season. And so we can ride the waves of this, if crypto has problems, right? Or certain stocks are dropping
Yeah.
and you're investing in them. Like I'm not worried about that right now because I'm in my late 30s. Like that's fine. I have plenty of time for those stocks to come back up, but there's always a new chance as sports seasons change, as we move
Yeah.
from hockey and basketball into baseball and then football. Like there's always a new sport and a new opportunity to take advantage of.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, was there ever a point where, like I want to leave, or like did you doubt the system ever?
I don't think so. I think I remember that there was this period where I was starting to sort of feel like the wheels turning on my own personal knowledge of sports betting. I remember sports betting went legal in January 2 years ago, and I remember the end of that summer kind of thinking like, what do I want to do now? Like, I'm starting to see some success from some of these groups I've joined. I'm starting to see where I'm losing money. And I don't think, and I never thought about leaving. I think it was more about like having some hard conversations with myself that like I need to stop doing stupid things and I need to stop betting with my emotions. And like I remember there were these days where I was just like throwing on a ton of bets, and like that's exhilarating. Like that's why people do it,
Yeah.
because they're like we're rushing, and I was trying to bet like 20 30 games, and I was just kind of like overwhelmed, and so I'm just firing off bets different places hoping that enough of them win that I'm going to make a profit, and at the end of the day I'd lose and I do it all over again. And
Yep.
so a lot of it was like having that hard conversation with myself of like, I'm seeing an avenue here that's successful. I'm going to learn from that. I need to stop investing in these bad strategies, and I need to stop thinking that I'm going to be smarter than the sports books. And like that's a hard conversation for a lot of people to have with themselves, because it's like gets your heart pumping, right? To put sports bets in when you first start getting into this world. Now it's emotionless for me.
Yeah,
Right?
whenever you make that switch and just, completely take the emotions out of it, that's whenever you're going to really start making money from it.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I'm at the point where like if I put a big bet in, like maybe I'll check the score every once in a while, but it's not like I'm obsessed with looking at it, right?
Yep.
Or I'll look at the end of the night and see how I did, or look the next day and see how I did. And that's fine, because I'm not worried about it. So I think having that like maturity around sports betting, starting to understand and starting to realize that like you're probably not going to beat the sports books if you're betting with your emotions, if you're betting with, you're looking for like that like energy pump, like,
Yeah.
that's how you're going to lose at the end of the day.
100%. And that's why a lot of people do it. They see people online flashing all this stuff saying that you're going to be a billionaire overnight. Then they think like, all right, I'll tail this guy's plays, and then they get addicted to it, and then they lose all their money, and it's sad. They just want more and more and more.
Yeah. One of the things I've really found interesting is looking at in Ohio, seeing what, like, as they come out with these reports of the profits, and like
Yeah, those are
the first year of Ohio sports betting, we were out betting New York. I think we were one of the top states, like top 5 states in the country for sports betting. And I just like, I could not believe the breakdown of what people were betting on,
yeah,
and the profit from parlays, right?
profit of like the sports books
That
from
the
parlays.
sports books were making. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
that fans were making. It was just disgusting, right? And just like you start to realize like this is set up for you to lose.
I wanna look up like what I think it's like 97% of profit that sportsbooks make from parlays, which is insane. Like it's crazy, and people still want to do them every day. Like, and even after I tell them like don't do them, you're not going to be profitable in the long run. Like they want to do it. Like it's like a drug almost. Like they want to do it because they find it more enjoyable, or like, and it's insane. Like it's just sad.
Yeah, and I get it. Like you have these videos where you see Prize Picks and you see Underdog, and
Those are the
they're on,
worst.
it's on every single sports broadcast, and so you start to understand like why people fall into this trap. And it looks really attractive, right? And you just pick a couple player props, ups and downs, like you're gonna win,
Yeah,
and but they're not. Their goal is to help you like lose money, right?
yeah,
And so you think like, I watch enough sports, I understand what direction those props might go, and you have no understanding that like you're super lucky if you win, and it's really rare if you win, and they're not profitable in the long term. And I think it took me a long time to realize too, a few months, that a lot of those people who are betting like Prize Picks, they're just getting money from Prize Picks to make those bets.
yeah.
I didn't know that. And then a capper mentioned that to me, and he was like, oh yeah, like, I was asking him about his strategies and so on. He's like, oh yeah, I just get all my Prize Picks just invest in me. Right. And I was like, well, this whole thing's a scam, right? You're not
Yeah.
even betting with your own money.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyone, just to like wrap the whole thing up, for people who are on the fence about joining, what would be like one thing that you would say to them?
I would say you should do it. I mean, that's easier said than done, right? But you should join. But I think about like, be realistic with yourself about a unit size. I think is like the biggest piece of advice I offer anyone. Join first, be realistic with a unit size, and then think about it over time. And I think be serious about understanding that if you're going to lose several units and you're upset about it, you're betting too much on those units. Like that's the clear sign. You need to bet enough, or you need to bet a lower amount so that you're comfortable losing those units, and then you win units, and then again over time that's going to stack. And I think that's hard for some people to do because most sports bettors are putting a higher unit than they really should be putting on when they
100%.
first start getting into this game.
Yeah.
So, and I think the other piece of advice I'd offer for people who are considering is to like talk to those of us who are in the group, right? Like, I'm not being compensated for any of this conversation, right? I'm not, it's like I do this because I'm successful at it, and like I appreciate the community that we have and like the support that we have. And so I think for any of us, anyone who's on the fence about this, like, happy to chat about it and answer questions. And I think like understanding that the restraint, that just having those fewer plays is going to be better for you in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, you said everything the same way that I would say about sports betting. I mean, it's perfect, and I truly appreciate like how well you are understanding what I've been telling you over the last like year and a half. And you can see that the results, like you said, you've 10x your bankroll or your unit size, whatever. So it's amazing to see.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I think like it's a hard thing for a lot of people to commit to, because I think like there's way lower like hanging fruit in this world, right? Like, and I think that like that mantra of like if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I think is like the ultimate thing to keep yourself in line in the sports betting world, because that's how they get you, and that's how a lot of
Yeah.
cappers get you, who are out there just to run a scam. And I think you have to kind of be a little bit more of an adult about this and think about this in that sort of investment strategy, which I think for young people sometimes is hard because they maybe haven't invested in the stock market, they don't have an IRA or whatever it might be. But I think this is a great way to start to learn some of those like long-term saving strategies as well, while also having some fun and like having a good community. And like, yeah, I still
Yeah.
talk sports and I love sports too. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's perfect. Like I cannot explain it better than what you did. So I appreciate it. It's
Awesome.
amazing.